So I will start. As you have mentioned, I'm a scholar of politics, and Benazir and Ulukbek have actually studied with me, and they're also scholars of politics. There will be some politics in our presentation, but mainly we will talk about partnership. And I will start. The presentation actually consists of 3 parts, and we're going top down. I'll start about how this whole thing began in general. Then Benazir will continue and talk about how we cooperate with the legislative branch in Kyrgyzstan, in particular with the parliament. And then Ulukbek will talk about how we actually interact with the local government and with the administration of local small towns and villages. So the topic of the presentation actually is the values of building partnership, but the subtitle or the topic behind the scene is actually the value of the networking. And again, as I have said, I'm going to begin with saying how the whole thing has actually started. Ulukbek, are you sharing the presentation? Yeah? Yeah, so, okay, sorry, yes. So I think you are all aware of how in 2013, the Kyrgyz government hosted the Global Snow Leopard Conservation Forum. And obviously the goal of this forum was to draw the world's attention to the issue of the snow leopard and urge the world to take appropriate steps and actually to preserve the animal and its ecosystem. As a result, the Bishkek Declaration was endorsed by the Global Forum, by all the range countries, and supported by international financial institutions and non-governmental organizations. Next slide, Ulukbek. Ulukbek? Did we lose Ulukbek?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a lag.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yes. It did not stop then. After 2013, the next event and the next decision by the government of the Kyrgyz Republic was to host the Global Snow Leopard Summit in 2017. And that's how I got involved, again, with the help of networking. I was asked by the President's administration to help to fundraise, because a year ago, I helped the government to fundraise for the second World Nomad Games in 2016 in Kyrgyzstan. That was considered to be a big success, because more than $3.5 million was attracted to help organize these games. And then the decision was made that we actually would fundraise for the organization of this summit. The decision to fundraise had actually 2 reasonings. One is the government is poor. I think we lost a little bit, yeah?
I think we've lost his screen. I still see him online, but yeah, he's back now.
Okay, so as I said, there were 2 reasonings to fundraise to help organize this summit in 2017. One is government is poor. They didn't really have the luxury to spend to have extra expenditures for organization of such international event. But also the other reasoning was that when we would attract money from businesses, international organizations, NGOs, we would also beat another goal, which is to raise awareness and also make them part of this whole thing and make them feel that they're actually participating and taking part in conserving the snow leopard and its ecosystems. Alongside with the Snow Leopard Summit in 2017, there was a decision that we would have a green investment forum to be held in parallel. And the aim was to seek green investments in the mountain regions of this snow leopard range. Next slide. Again, since you participated probably in the organization and the forum itself, you should maybe aware of the aims and objectives of the forum, but I'm gonna discuss it also too, because while the organizers, the scientists have created the strategy where they've had 5 aims of this forum, and I was hired in the spring, in March, I think, and I was supposed to go and knock on the door of every business, every bank, every company in Bishkek to raise funds. I would actually unconsciously, actually, without even knowing, with achieving these goals myself. So for example, the first one, Forum 2017, is a discussion forum, right? When I would go to, let's say, to a bank in Bishkek, and then would start talking about this whole issue, I actually found that many people had no clue about this whole issue at all, that that snow leopard is under threat, and it's not just about this animal himself or herself, but it's about actually protecting the ecosystem. Like, snow leopard is a thermometer for us to understand that the whole ecosystem of this mountain region is a threat. And I would discuss with them, I would communicate this platform, and actually ask them to be, let's say, I would tell them, a partner in crime, to be our accomplice in achieving this goal. And I would lay down the opportunities for them, that in this forum, you would have the opportunity to advertise your product or to advertise your logo. There will be an exhibition area. And in addition, you would also have an opportunity to network with other people. Next slide. You would be able to participate in the exhibition. And also in the Green Investment Forum, you can see if there are any investment opportunities for you, especially if we're talking about the banks. There would be some green startups where you can be a donor, or you can become a business angel for them. Next. The forum itself, I forgot the exact date, but let's say it started sometime around August 20th. But we've had some events that were held a week or 2 weeks prior to that forum. And when you look at the list, like, you have this music festival and games and etc., you would think how they could help preserving the snow leopard or its ecosystem. For example, this Tengri Jazz Music Festival, I think that happened before. You would see the images of snow leopard. The MC, before the opening of the concert, would actually tell the people about this whole issue. The businesses who given funds and money to help the summit to organize, they would have an opportunity to advertise their products, their services. They would have the opportunity to distribute certain things in it. That was like an agreement among us. Then there was children's performance, where we had kids performing in front of the high guests, but also they would perform this fairy tale, there's like a theatrical performance, to other kids, and explain the whole issue of the snow leopard and how it is important for us to preserve it. Alongside, there was the so-called educational festival happening in Bishkek for, I think, 2 days. There were interactive games around town, everywhere, in different parks, in different museums, and etc. And then there were games involving the snow leopard. You know, kids were supposed to find the snow leopard, or they had this VR glasses and would have the opportunity to run or to see how the snow leopard actually lives. And there was an expo where businesses had the opportunity to have their products again exposed and interact with some companies that came from other range countries. Before that, also, this process of signing the petition has happened, when we were getting the signatures from the population to sign this petition to ask people to preserve the snow leopard and its ecosystems. And then at the end of this forum, Dia Mirza, who is the Indian actress and producer and environmental activist, she presented this petition to the President of the Kyrgyz Republic and to the UN General Secretary. I think this whole thing, given how much her exposure is in the social media and etc., has really raised awareness, not just in Kyrgyzstan, but beyond. Next slide. The forum ended, and the action has actually started after the forum ended, because after that forum, you could see snow leopards everywhere. Like a separate taxi service was open called the Snow Leopard in Kyrgyz. You know, some industries and companies started manufacturing certain products and call them snow leopards. You could see the images. The businesses started issuing their debit and credit cards with the issue of the snow leopard, and that was everywhere. Because all of the foreign embassies were invited to participate in that forum, it made easier for us to go and talk to them after that forum because they were all aware. And a special case is the Embassy of the United Kingdom in Bishkek, which since then has been the greatest friend and supporter of the Snow Leopard Trust for us, especially the UK ambassador himself. We don't even have to ask him, he would promote and help us himself. After that, I think the UK embassy and the DFID program has launched the program to support the rangers in Kyrgyzstan. The UK embassy and UK ambassador has helped us to organize a separate fundraising event, which was a wine tasting thing, where again we invited the expats and the embassies to come and taste the wine, but also they've contributed some amount of money for that. This Green Investment Forum was also a success that was held in parallel to this Snow Leopard Forum. That Ministry of Economy is now holding the so-called Green Economy Weeks in Bishkek every week with the support and financial assistance from the UNDP. And I think Benazir will talk about this in detail. Another successful partnership that happened afterwards is us becoming friends and partners with the Asian World Film Festival in Los Angeles in the US. This is the biggest Asian World Film Festival, which was founded by two Kyrgyz folks, and the token, the logo is the snow leopard, and they when they actually have this festival, they would allocate a separate day, either that would be dedication, let's say, and documentaries related to protection of the wildlife, or the first time we've cooperated with them was a separate day to talk about Kyrgyzstan, and we have presented the issue of preserving snow leopards in the ecosystem and etc. In September 2017, right after the forum ended, the new government was formed in Kyrgyzstan. And their program, the program they came in was called Tazakom. In Kyrgyz means clean society. And it consisted of 40 steps. Each step characterized the development of certain industry or a certain sector in Kyrgyzstan. And a special attention was paid to the environmental protection and to promotion of green economy, where I was honored to participate, and I was one of them who actually wrote this strategy on how we see the development of the economy, but without actually harming the environment in Kyrgyzstan. The result of this forum was that we were able to cooperate with several businesses, but I think the most notable is the cooperation with Microsoft. I think you all know that Microsoft right now helps with their artificial intelligence tool to help and track images from the camera traps. There were other instances that we could not really, insert in this presentation, especially I have two other presenters after me, but I will be happy to answer particular questions on how I knock on the doors or raise monies or over the other ideas. But in general, I think I would say that creative ideas bring money in general. And then the other conclusion that I made for myself is that we should not be actually afraid of asking money. The more you ask, the more you get. Sometimes it may not necessarily be the monetary assistance, but you can definitely get friends from, when you present the creative idea and asking them to be your partner. Thank you very much. And I'll give the floor to Benazir now.
Thank you, Bermet. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is being safe and staying healthy. So today, I'm going to talk to you about our work with the parliament, with the specific parliament member. His name is Kabaeva Jurubayevich. And I will tell you about his work that he has been doing as the deputy, also the national developments in regards to green economy and how all of that aligns with our interest as a conservation organization. So Actually, this deputy, he reached out to us first because he was drafting a law on hunting moratorium on certain animal species, and this list included argali, mountain sheep, and wild boar and other animals. So he reached to us when he was drafting this law, and then we were also invited to the public discussion of this hunting moratorium so this meeting was held at the parliament, and this meeting was able to gather like hunting associations, other ecology experts, other NGOs, and representatives of Academy of Science. So we discussed this bill together. Unfortunately, this bill was not passed, but he plans to reinitiate it this spring or maybe early summer. So that's how we started working with him. And then we learned that he was the supervisor of this parliamentary working group that was developing the concept of green economy in Kyrgyzstan. And later he became the chairman of this public council on transition to green economy in Kyrgyzstan. So this working group developed this concept that was approved in 2018 by the parliament. And this concept is called Kyrgyzstan is the country of green economy. And this concept basically describes how our poor practices in agriculture, livestock breeding, mining, and other industries, poor practices in resource and waste management negatively impact the health and well-being of the population. And in order to transform our economy into a green economy, the concept identified several green policy directions, which included green energy, green agriculture, green industries, but it also included biodiversity protection, eco-education as the green policy directions, which are very important for us as a conservation organization. So after our meetings and what we have learned about him and his work, we realized that actually our interests align. And as you know, we're trying to build this concept of conservation-led development program, which is the basis of this concept is the idea of promotion of ecologically sustainable economic activities that would diversify the livelihoods of local communities. So we saw that our conservation-led development concept aligns with the national concept of green economy and his interest as a deputy. So therefore, we considered this as a great opportunity to collaborate with him, and he was very open to work closely with us. And there were also other positive trends in regards to green economy development in Kyrgyzstan at the, let's say, government or national level. So after the concept of green economy in Kyrgyzstan was approved by the parliament, the government developed the program on the development of green economy in Kyrgyzstan for the period from 2019 till 2023. And this program identifies goals, activities, expected outcomes, and responsible implementing state agencies. And also, as Bermet mentioned, Ministry of Economy organizes every year the Green Economy Week, which brings together business sector, private sector, civil society, other NGOs, state agencies as well. Basically, it's a week where every day there are certain events and people have the opportunity. This is a platform basically to discuss the issues of green economy, what have been done so far, and what are other issues that have to be tackled in the framework of green economy. And so this national trends also show us that there is a motivation from the government, from the parliament, from civil society, from business sector, to protect the environment and ensure sustainable economic development, which is just great news for us. So in March of 2019, we organized a conference on green economy and environment protection along with our deputy, Mr. Akhmat Baybakbayev. And at the conference, we had business sector, donor organizations, and state agencies as well. And at the conference, we presented our conservation-led development concept. Mr. Akhmat Baybakbayev, he presented the legislative environment for a green economy in Kyrgyzstan. So he basically talked about what kind of laws we already have in place to transform our economy. And also he talked about what are the other like policies, directions we need to take in. And we also discussed the green economy perspectives in Kyrgyzstan and financial solutions for biodiversity conservation. So this conference was very useful for us to talk about our concept as well. And while we were preparing for this conference, we were actually introduced to Green Alliance, which is the union of more than 50 organizations. And the main goal of this union is to promote the principles of sustainable development and green economy. And throughout our preparation for this conference, the Green Alliance became a good friend of ours and a partner. And actually last year during the Green Economy Week, one of the days was organized by the Green Alliance, and we partnered with them, and we organized the competition of project proposals in the framework of green economy. So we were able to participate in this Green Economy Week. So the Mr. Hikmat Bababayev, he is as a chairman of the Public Council on Transition to Green Economy, he initiated the creation of Secretariat on Transition to Green Economy. So the main idea of this Secretariat is to develop legislative policies or bills to transform our economy into green economy. So this Secretariat consists of lawyers and experts in different fields. So basically, right now, anyone can go to this Secretariat, propose any idea in the framework of green economy, and then with their lawyers and experts, they can actually develop the legislative bill. This has never been done before. This is something new that the deputy initiated. So this is very good news for us, because right now we can just go to the Secretariat and propose our ideas. And with their lawyers and our expertise in conservation, we can propose like necessary policies. And actually, we were invited to the first meeting, or sort of the first presentation of this Secretariat, where he shared with us the reason why they created this Secretariat, how it's going to work. And at the first meeting, we actually discussed this law on hunting moratorium, which was not passed. So he said that he wants to change it a little bit. And so the lawyers in his team, actually, they addressed some questions to us. They were like asking us, why do we need this law? Why is it important? And also during the discussions, we shared with Mr. Hikmat Bababayev and his team the example of snow leopard ecotourism in India. And we said this could be sort of an alternative source of income for hunting concessions, because trophy hunting brings a lot of money, and that's one of the biggest concerns in regards to this law. And when we told him about this example and how much money like it brings to the communities, he was so excited, and he said that he will definitely research more into this, and they will definitely add this to their bill. So these are the main things that he has worked on, and these are the main things that have been happening at the national level. So the main takeaways from our engagement with him is that the main reason why we were able to work with him specifically is because we share certain interests and we share values. So he and we are, as a conservation organization, we are interested in environment protection, we're interested in sustainable economic development and green economy. So that was our basis to our collaboration. And then we held formal meetings with him at the parliament. We would go and visit him during his office hours, but we also held informal meetings with him just to get to know him on a more of a personal level. Another thing that we did is we shared our work. Not only did we just talk to him about our work, but we actually took him to Shamshit-Tuyuk, and I know that some of you have been there. So we showed him how this hunting concession was transformed into a protected area, where now we conduct research, we conduct eco camps for children. And I think showing our work certainly brings like more trust into our relationship, because he was able to get a first-hand experience of our work. And we also try to keep in touch with him. So if we always invite him to our events, so for example, we invite him to our ranger reward ceremony, where he is able to meet our rangers, speak at our event, and actually give out the rewards to the rangers. And then we try to update him on our activities, on our progress and our projects. And then lastly, if he invites us to his events, we definitely make sure we go. So I think these are the main takeaways from our work with him. And I think what our experience shows, that it is very valuable to invest time and energy into building the trust and partnership with not only parliamentarian, pretty much with anyone. I think it's very, very valuable, and it allows us to collaborate more with more people and engage more. So this is, I think, all in regards to our work with the parliament that we wanted to share. So thank you all for your attention. And now I'm giving the floor to Ulukbek. Thank you.
Hello everyone, one more time. Thanks Benazir for giving me the floor. So also hope that all you are safe now. So my part will be about the building partnership with local self-government, which is local authority, or here in Kyrgyzstan it is called Ulukbek. If to translate it into English, it means village government. So since we are conservation organization, we are working with the local society, with local government, which is why we should know how to approach to them, how to build partnership with them. And in every country, I guess the approach that you build is different. So my part will be regarding our case in Kyrgyzstan. So in Kyrgyzstan, so I categorize the approaches into two columns. So on the left side, you can see the standard approaches, and on the right side, unconventional. So you can write, if you want to connect to local self-government, you can just write an official letter. But according to Kyrgyz legislation, they have 14 days to answer for your letter. But according to my experience, as I know, they will give you with a late answer or the answer that won't satisfy your questions. Or the third option, it will get you, it won't get, they will just ignore your letter. Another thing, you can just make a call, but please never try to reach them through the phone in Kyrgyzstan, the local government, because they never respond to this phone, because they work a lot with the local society, and they have daily visits of villagers, and also they have a lot of field work. That's why I prefer to advise you better to visit local self-government. But also before, if you want to visit the local government, it's better to find first the mobile phone of local employees if you want to be sure that you will meet them at the place. Otherwise, you'll spend your time, your efforts just to reach the place and come back because you won't find them on the place. That is why it's better, I advise you to connect them through mobile phones rather than work phones. Also, if you want to find the head of the village, head of the local self-government, try to call him. Otherwise, he often goes to visit district administration. They conduct millions of these different meetings. According to my experience, I wanted to tell you that I used to be a public servant. I worked for 4 or 5 years in public service. So I also work in district administration, a little bit in local municipality. So I know that sometimes they just call these heads of LSGs, which are located like 60, 50 kilometers from the area, just to conduct some unimportant meetings. And also, if you cannot reach the local head of the LSG, you can try to contact with the chair of local Kenyesh. It's like local parliament in a village level. So the head of the local self-government, he is in Kyrgyzstan, elected by the deputies of this local Kenyesh, local parliament. So it's the main body who supervises and monitors the activity of local self-government. So, but according to our legislation, the chair of the local Kenyesh, his job is not paid because his job is paid if the population of the local municipality is over 20,001 person. But in most cases in Kyrgyzstan, the population of local villages is less than 20,001. Which is why they don't usually sit at the office. So we can try to find where he lives or the mobile phone and try to reach him. And in Kyrgyzstan, it is okay if you will go to the village, knock his door and ask him to talk. So on the right column, you can see unconventional approach when you try to use some leverage in order to reach the answers, get the answers for your questions if the local self-government doesn't respond to you. So we can go to district administration, regional administration, or government office, parliament. So it's kind of hierarchy when you use leverage just to reach the local self-government. But the main part of this in unconventional approach is networking. It's the most good instrument. If you have some connections, you can call and ask him, please, can you call this person, the head of the local government? So he will tell him, hey, can you please receive this person tomorrow and solve his issues? So it can work better. So the networking is the best part of this approach. So I categorized these approaches into effective and not effective. And the most effective approaches are writing letters, making, I already explained why. And if you want to build partnership with LSG, local self-government, please try to send the employee, which have good communication and negotiation features. Otherwise, in local community, so the head of the local community, he receives daily a lot of people. So the difference between local government and the state government is people easily can get into local government. They can open the door, tell whatever they want to tell, just do whatever they want. But in terms of the state government, in order to get there, they should get permission. And that is why if you want to attract their attention, please try to send a person who has good negotiation and communication features. Here's I built this table on how to build partnership with local self-government or with local community. The first thing that you should do is arouse interest. Without interest, you won't do any one step. So there are famous phrase, I think maybe you heard about it. There are no friends in politics, there are only common interests. It was said by John Henry Temple, who is the British former Prime Minister. In origin, it sounded differently. It sounded there are no permanent enemies and permanent friends, only permanent interests. So any communication, any negotiation should start from finding common interests. Also, after that, you should, after finding the common interest, arousing interest in that person or in local community, in LSG, you should earn trust. Because even if you arouse the interest, but they didn't get trust toward you, they won't listen to you. They will they will listen to you suspiciously. If you want to get the trust, try to tell about yourself a little bit. You should show that you are from the same place, that you are the same person. Try to show some common feedback. Because when you are on the same level, when they trust you, it's easy to talk. After you will get the trust, you should explain them that what you are doing is not for you, it's only for them. That if they will not start this project at this village, the one who will be losing is not you, it's their village, their community, the local community, it's local government. If they won't start this project, you can start this project with another village and they will get all the credits. You should, after explaining that this is for them, that it's their need, you should gain the respect from the local community or from local government. How you can do that? You should show that by implementation and by realization of this project or whatever you're going to start at that area, all the credits will go to the head of the local community. I just want to share you with one story, how it is important to get respect from someone in order to build better partnership. I don't know, have you ever heard about Toyotomi Hideyoshi? It was the chief imperial in Japan, like in 15th century, I guess. So he was a very poor guy. At that time, if you were poor, you are not allowed to carry surname. So based on the hard efforts and achievements, he was able to reach this position, chief imperial minister, and he got the surname, and that's why he became Toyotomi Hideyoshi. So he was serving for Oda, Oda. He was the head of this, or chair of this province where he was serving. Once he was sent to conquer one province. So he went to that province, almost conquer this region, but there was some steps that are left, and it needed just a little bit more attack in order to finish it. And he was sure that he will finish it, he will conquer this place. And in order to finish this conquer, he wrote to his boss, who was Oda Nobunaga. In the letter he said that please come to this place. We are almost finished. We almost conquered this place. Come and get all the credits for yourself. So you will be like a person who won this war in this province. So after that, he got also another achievement. So by this, he showed that he gave all the credits to his boss, and that's how he get more respect. Yeah, and after getting respect, you should push for collaborative actions for local community. Why it is important? So collaborative actions is all about teamwork. So you know, when you work together, you get closer, you build your soul relationship. So it's very important. After making some common actions, it's necessary to induce local community or local government for independent actions or initiatives. Otherwise, the local community or LSG will be always waiting, looking at you like, what is the next plan? What are the next steps? Where to get money? What to initiate in order to solve problem? So that's why you should induce them for independent actions in order to bring some sustainability to your project. And the main part also of this way is to avoid, don't promise what you can give. Otherwise, if you will promise in the beginning, I don't know, too much, or the things that you cannot reach or bring, all the things that you built before, you will just ruin. So don't promise, that's why. So next slide. So here's the slide about importance of partnership with LSG and local society in community-based conservation. So LSG is the door to the local system. If you want to start any project, any activity, it's better to go to LSG because they know everybody in the village. They have all the data and they have all the connections, all the prehistory. But it's not enough to start something there. You should get approval from the local residents, because they are the ones who get direct benefits, and they are the one who have direct impact to the local ecosystem. My father, he works as the head of the local community, or not local self-government, and like 5 or 7 years ago, the Chinese investors came to our village, to him, and offered one project. They were ready to invest about $500,000 for some agricultural project. And my father was very keen on this project, because he knew that by this project he will get more taxes. They will create some working places for local community, and they have this social pack by which they can repair the roads. But the local community, they just didn't trust to Chinese people. I don't know why, but they have this mentality in our village. And they just didn't allow this project to start in the village, which is why, without the approval of the local residents, the project was rejected. So that's why you can develop millions of plans, strategies with local self-government, but if you won't get approval from and support from the local residents, then your project gonna fail. And why it's important to work locally on the places? Because you get reliable data from the first hand. Why it is important? Because any action should be taken based on the data. So without data, you cannot do something, right? Why it is important to get reliable data in Kyrgyzstan? As I already told, I've been working for local authority, for district administration, and I know how this data is formed in villages and in districts, and how they are sent, and I can assure you that they are not reliable for 100%. It's better to recheck. So here's the part about significance of government's involvement into community-based conservation. Why it is important? Why it is important to involve for government into community-based conservation. So government is the one who develops strategic state programs, where they can involve all these eco-friendly programs that can serve as the conditions to start any projects in the villages. So when the government develops some state programs, they send it to local LSGs, and they, based on these programs, they develop their own action plans. But developing only strategic state program is not enough. There should be legislative framework for this strategic state programs, because having a strategic state program without legislative framework is like building a house without a foundation. Also, it is very important to have government subsidies if your government develop these state programs and have this legislation framework, because you can develop programs, you can have a legislation, but if people do not have money, do not have capital to start the business, or they do not have sources of money, or some preferences in order to start or launch some eco-friendly projects, then it's not gonna work. So I can tell you that developing strategic state program, having legislative framework without government subsidies or attraction of donors for local projects, it's like trying to have a big journey with a car where you don't have a petrol, right? You know that this car is cool, it's gonna drive fast, but if there is no petrol, you don't need it, right? Just leave it. So it's very important to have this, to build or to have the sources of money for local community. It doesn't matter whether it's government subsidies, attraction of donors, or some preferences, but there should be source. Also, it's very important to involve a local community into decision-making process while you are developing different programs, because people in the government, they don't really know what is going on in the local community. They are not on the fields, they are not on the places, they are just sitting within cabinets, within rooms. So it's better to work with local community in order to know how to solve this problem. And Scrum is very important if the government uses Scrum method, Scrum management. Scrum management is when you consider all this, in this case, you consider all these boxes and go and develop your actions. So that's why if you want to do something in some area, please go to local community, get their support, get their approval, their interest. Try to find more, try to build more connectivity, because connectivity is everything. Yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Justine is clapping and so are we. Thank you so much, Bermet, Benazir and Ulukbek. So I think we still have some time, and so we'll be happy to take any questions. So if any of you have questions, and I'm sure some of you will, it would be nice if you can type it in your chat box, and we'll pass those questions on, and maybe we can discuss them in the group. But thanks again. It's so nice to have someone talk about engaging with the government, because many of us who might be on the call often find ourselves struggling to do that, thinking of how it should be done, and what you all have just spoken about is a great way of how Bermet spoke about amplifying your reach, and then Benazir spoke about the parliament and engaging with the MP, and Ulukbek, you ended up with engaging with the local community. So I think that was really insightful. Yeah. So yes, so if there are any questions, please type them out. And yeah. Yes, I have got one question from Munib, who is also with us. Thanks, Bermet. Wonderful. I would be interested to know a bit more about some of the more creative ideas that led to more engagement and donations, for instance. So I think Bermet spoke about creativity and how that could help. So Bermet, if you could, may I request you to just.
Sure. I think what I meant, thank you very much, Manip. I think what I meant is that when people ask me about my fundraising experience, I actually have two rules. Is that no idea is stupid. And the second rule is that ask for more, you will receive less anyway. So, and the worst answer you can get is no, which is fine with me by now, right? So you should ask, let's say if you want to get, I'm exaggerating right now, but if you want to get $10,000, let's say you should ask for 100,000. Okay, that's how you will get it. I mean, you would have, of course, to analyze what business makes and etc. But you definitely need to ask for more, even if you know this is too much for that particular company, right? And then when you know, let's say that the company maybe is not in the best shape right now to make donations or to be a donor, then you find a creative way, let's say. So like, you know, I probably would never ever think 10 years ago that I would organize a wine tasting event to, you know, raise money for the snow leopard, right? And then at that event, we would sell anything, you know, starting from a picture of a snow leopard to the trip to go to the Shamshe, you know, and that will be also auctioned. And then I would never think that we would be partnering with the film festival in Los Angeles, right, to promote this idea of preserving snow leopard. The way it happened is that one of the founders and I, we went to the gym together, and that's how the conversation started. I mean, you would think, why would you talk in the gym with the film festival founder about preserving snow leopard, right? You would think that is stupid, but as I said, you know, no idea is stupid enough. And then let's say you would ask some business owner and etc. You know, you would name your product, let's say Snow Leopard or İlbirsin Kyrgyz, which means snow leopard, and then you say you give us like 5% or 3% of the profit to the foundation. So you just have, I mean, I cannot think of right now off the top of my head, but maybe if time allows, I'll think of more and then give a more concrete answer to it.
Sure, Bermet. I think we can organize a separate session on networking with you. I'm sure many of us will sign up for that one too. But let me go to the next question, which is, I think, coming to Ulukbek, and they're asking, Ulukbek, have you ever asked your father on his experience and what he suggests on good practices to engage with local governments?
If you mean exactly local government, not local community, then I can tell you what in post-Soviet countries, and especially in Kyrgyzstan, you should drink vodka with that.
Yeah, you should drink vodka. That's a nice.
The Snow Leopard vodka.
Snow Leopard vodka. Because I can tell you from the practice that they drink often, and this is how they deal with the problems. They sit together, drink, talk. Sometimes the issues which are not resolved for many years can be resolved at the table with one vodka. Not one, maybe 2, 3. But yeah, this is real. I mean, this is the real situation, but it's one of the instruments, yeah, like unofficial. But if to take other cases, then it's all about your negotiation and communication skills. It only depends on this. Just go and try to talk, offer something. I mean, as I told already, it's all about interest. If they won't have interest in your project, then they won't do even one step. You should find something that can, even if your interest doesn't match at that time to his interest, try to connect it somehow. Because I mean, like as Bermet already told, me and Benazir, we studied at International Comparative Politics. She was our professor, and in our department we learned how to connect one thing to another thing if it's even impossible. So try to connect anytime, anything. So sure. It's all about your features.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Finding common interests, and that applies with across the board. I would think across all the 3 segments that you all spoke about. But thanks, Ulukbek. The next question is coming from Juliet, and she's curious that engaging with governments at different scales takes a huge amount of effort, as you have shown so successfully. How does one balance that effort with other aspects of conservation? So maybe I can just ask any of you to take that one. Have you all faced such a challenge, and how might you have tried to encounter something like that?
I think, let's say for the forum, probably the effort was like much bigger because they were organizing such a big event. But I think working with the parliamentarian, it doesn't take actually that much time, to be honest, because he also has a lot of things to do. So, for example, when we were preparing for the conference, we would meet with him once a week during his office hours, let's say for 30 minutes, for 1 hour. And then he also has advisors and secretary. So we would communicate through his advisor and through his secretary. So we would work on things with his advisor, let's say. And then we would have one meeting with the deputy where we basically present our whatever we have done so far for the preparation of the conference, let's say. But I think it comes down also to planning. Like you should plan your activities and then see like how your schedules align with theirs, and then you go from there. But I think it comes down to planning for sure. Planning, and then making sure like you're prepared for the meetings, and you have certain points that you want to discuss and have certain things done before like meetings, let's say. So I think planning and preparation for the meetings with the government would be one of the best things, how to balance it all. Yes, I think that would be my answer.
Sure. So thanks, Benazir. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll move on to the next question, which I was curious to know, and which governments change, and every new government may have a different focus. Have you dealt with a situation like that, and how do you deal with such transitions in a government? So that's something I was curious to know.
I can take that. Yes, governments change everywhere, especially in Kyrgyzstan. This current government has existed for 2 years, and it's a record. Okay, so and at average, Kyrgyz government exists for like 8 to 9 months. That's a huge challenge, and you're right. I think I want to connect it to the next question on how we actually engage with the member of the parliament. So governments change, but parliament's more or less stable because they've elected for 5 years and so. So that was important for us that we actually got this connection with the MP. And then in this particular case, again, you need to know how to navigate in the Kyrgyz politics. You need to know who is who in the parliament, etc. This particular MP was not really an active member in any of the parliamentary committees. That's why he wanted to have his own niche, and he found this niche is this green economy. So we just jumped in there, right? And then we won it. And then right now, this issue of actually green economy and etc. is a hot topic. The civil society people really discuss this, and parliament members right now, there will be parliamentary elections in the fall. So they understand that this has to be in their election platforms if they want to actually get the voters' attention, etc. So they will be talking about this right now. And in this particular case, at this moment, they want our help to tell them what needs to be told. They want to know how they can draw the attention of the electorate. So for example, when we went to this Asian World Film Festival this time in November in Los Angeles, there were a couple of MPs from Kyrgyzstan there. So one of them actually approached me and said, what kind of help do you need in terms of legislations? I'm ready, okay? So they're already thinking on how they want to be re-elected, and they want a popular support. So to answer the previous questions, it's hard, but you need to keep working with the civil society and other stakeholders like this Green Alliance and other people telling that no matter whether the governments change or not, we have to live in this country. We need to have water, we need to have sustainable development, and etc. So we need to keep working on this, regardless whether the prime minister changes or not. And then the other stable institution is the parliament. That's where you need to be hooked, as Juliet is asking.
I want to add something. So dealing with such transitions, it's not so difficult in Kyrgyzstan because we are a very small country, and the politics, they leave and come back, but they are still in the politics. They just change their positions, usually our politicians. And Bermet, she is former advisor to Prime Minister, and I've been on the position of Assistant Minister of Justice for almost 2 years, and we built at that time very good connections. So when we, as Benazir said, we try to get in touch always with them. So it's very important to always keep in touch every day, every meeting, I don't know, every holidays, just to be sure that you are there, that they are there. Just try to talk them every time. Don't lose them. And it's also about just spreading your connectivity, your networking, and working with civil society is also very important, as Bermet said. The more you work with civil society and the more you try to reach, get in touch with the government and parliament, the longer you can save your connections and easier handle these transitions.
Sure. And always be prepared to have a vodka. I think. But thank you so much. I think you've addressed both the questions that were remaining, and that make complete sense. And it just builds further the case of how important networking can be, especially when engaging at any level. So thanks once again. I think we've addressed the questions. So thanks again to the three of you for making time and talking about a topic that many of us, like I said when we started off, struggled with. But I think this was really, really insightful. And rest assured, some of us may come back to you for suggestions, advice, or just to bounce our ideas if that is required in future. But thank you. And I think we'll end the talk for this week, and we have a couple of other talks lined up, but those will most likely be in June. So do watch out for the announcements, which we shall be sharing with all of you all very soon. And again, the next couple of talks are likely to be speakers from the range countries. So it will be nice if as many of you can join. So yeah, like Ulukbek said, that there are no friends in politics, only common interests. So I assume all of us have common interests. So look forward to seeing you all on the next talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye. Bye.
Nice.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Very nice presentation.
Bye.
Thanks, Ajay.